Hey, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to do a review of the new Cormega EP entitled Mega. Let's get to it. Cormega is a veteran rapper coming out of Queensbridge, New York. I think most people first became acquainted with his name as early as 1994 when Nas uttered the almost mythical line, "What up with Cormega? Did you see him? Are y'all together?" on his classic debut, Illmatic. As an artist and businessman, Cormega has had to overcome quite a bit of adversity. He suffered some setbacks early in his career that included a prison stint, label disputes, and of course the infamous falling out with Nas. Now, these events unfortunately limited his ability to garner more mainstream exposure early on, not to mention that he was also ousted as one of the original members of the firm and replaced by fellow Queensbridge artist Nature before the firm album was recorded. Now, despite some of the blacklisting which occurred, Cormega was able to resiliently bounce back and forge an independent path on his own. Of course, it took him a little longer as a result. His first technical debut, The Realness, didn't drop until 2001. However, he had obviously built up quite an impressive street buzz prior to his debut with the underground album The Testament, which unfortunately never saw the light of day. It was shelved and reduced to street and internet bootlegging. So if you were lucky enough to obtain a copy back then, well, congratulations, because that particular album won't be appearing on any of the streaming services. So I guess we can all consider it a dead street scroll. As far as Cormega's rapping ability, he is one of the most underrated and talented street poets in the game. His detailed streetwise narratives are filled with introspection, wisdom, and authenticity. In terms of being real, it's not to say that his Queensbridge rapping counterparts didn't dabble in the streets to some capacity, but it was Cormega who was actually deep in the hustle game. While some may have observed events from their project window, Cormega was actually outside on the benches. Now, his subject matter has matured considerably over time. However, even when the majority of his raps were more mafioso driven, there was still an element of intelligence to his content. He's always been a thinker, much like a Nas or AZ. I think one could describe his whole aura as Machiavellian, but perhaps with a more enlightened consciousness, that is. He's the guy that brought you infamous lines like, "Trust is a luxury I can't afford. Betrayal is something that I can't ignore." Now, you know, I could keep going listing some of his most insightful bars, but let's just jump into this new project. This new 7-track EP entitled Mega does not exactly contain all brand new music. This is more like a reissued edition with 2 new songs. The other 5 tracks were previously released in 2018 on what was also titled the Mega EP. I know that's a little confusing, but I see that Mega had just re-released this last week. Now, you may have heard these 5 songs prior, as I already had. However, I didn't get a chance to review them then, so I wanted to share my thoughts on them now since it does contain 2 new songs. So this EP is produced entirely by the Miami-based producer Street Runner, which I think is somewhat of an unusual pairing. However, I think Cormega sounded natural enough rapping over these instrumentals, even though it is not characteristic of the more New York sounding production that he's accustomed to rhyming over. This EP is just under 20 minutes and only contains 2 features, Havoc and Chic Luch. As far as the production goes, the beats are very subtle, dreamy, and ethereal. There's an atmospheric tone to them as well. They aren't necessarily attention-grabbing. If anything, they merely serve as a serene backdrop for Mega to drop all of his bars of truth and these streetwise platitudes. At times on this EP, Mega comes off as a cross between a spiritual guru and a life coach. A lot of what he is saying on here is very thoughtful. He's rapping from the perspective of the elder statesman of the block or the big homie that's seen it and done it all before. And this is not new territory for Cormega. However, the level of spiritual awareness and maturity within his bars is quite striking this time around. So yeah, let me get into a track by track breakdown. The intro, Say No More, really sets the sonic tone for this short project. The keys are soft and soothing, yet there is a slight mafioso undertone to the beat. It has a sophisticated and mature vibe to it for sure, which matches up well with Mega's reflective persona. There is a feeling to this beat that makes me almost envision an aging mafioso on his deathbed getting ready to impart some wisdom onto his children before he passes. That's really the kind of pensive vibe that this opener is giving me. The production on the second track, on Everything I Try, almost sounds like a continuation of the intro. It's very dreamy and gentle. We get some faint female vocal harmonies in the background as well. I initially wanted to hear something with more energy to it, but I do enjoy the message and the lyrical content quite a bit. I think the following lines really echo the self-realized state that he is in nowadays with, I relinquish impatient ways for calm reason, meaning I stay cool even on warm beaches, good vibes only, even if love changes, keep your dignity, bad energy supports anger, causes loss, anguish in court cases, short tempers are often before long faces, learn the rules to the game before playing, know your hitters and pitchers, cover all bases. There is an otherworldly quality to the instrumental on Live Your Best Life. This features Queensbridge legend Havoc of Mobb Deep. I think the Havoc appearance gave this track somewhat of a Queensbridge feel, if that was even possible given the style of production. However, I did feel it slightly. Again, there are many motivational and insightful bars that Mega has given us to unpack and reflect upon. Next up is probably my second favorite track off the project, which is Genuine Article. Although the production continues in this very elusive and dreamlike state, it just stands out as a better instrumental overall. In fact, the track itself seems to go perfectly with the very tranquil cover art to this EP. It's like you could almost zone out and meditate to this track as you stare at it. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of trippy and new agey, but that's really the vibe that's going on here. As far as the lyrics, again, he's doing some heavy soul searching as well as giving out some deep game. He states, these verses hold weight like Ace and the Cleaners, able to distinguish the difference between thinking and scheming. It's like being tired of waiting when patience is needed. Is it safe for a dreamer in a city that never sleeps? There's a lot of game to be absorbed in those lines, so I hope y'all were able to soak some of it up. The track Empty Promises has essentially the same beat that is used on the intro. Perhaps there's some slight variation, but I couldn't really detect it. This was originally the outro to his 2018 EP. The content on this track is a little more street driven. He gives advice to the hustlers, cautioning them to stay low and be mindful that betrayal is almost inevitable. So you have to be prepared for disloyalty when those secret indictments arrive. This track is also just about keeping it real and being a man of your word and having great integrity. The remaining two tracks were added as bonus or new material. They both follow the same sonic path as the other 5 tracks on the EP. On City of God, we get a Chic Luch feature, which is pretty solid. He brings some much needed ruggedness to this very suave and elegant beat. Mega continues to drop some more sage-like wisdom with lines like, pain of regret can be even greater than the pleasure. This EP closes out with my favorite track, Fast Livin'. It has some melancholy and haunting female vocal harmonies that gives it a dark vibe. He's painting a pretty vivid visual of the fast life. However, since he has evolved, he also challenges the conventional wisdom of one of the classic lines from the Godfather movie, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. However, Mega gives an entirely different critique of that motto with, keep your enemies close is senseless, bad energy needs distance, negative vibes and resentment infect jealous minds like a sickness. It's just some food for thought, so hopefully y'all were able to do the dishes. Overall, I give this EP a rating of 3.8 out of 5. What I liked a lot about it was that we finally got to hear some new Cormega music, and I feel a little smarter and wiser as a result. I guess I could add, I feel a little calmer too. As far as the lyrical content goes, you will not find anyone else out there that is handing out this level of free game quite like Cormega. So I will always appreciate and value the thoughtful jewelry that he provides on his albums. There's something about his content that reminds me of Guru's ghetto style proverbs. Again, there's great lyrical content to pull from this project, but I personally wish that a few of the instrumentals would have had some punchier production. I think that while the beats were very smooth and refined, they lacked the grimy Queensbridge feel that I personally like to hear from Cormega. Now I understand the tone of this project was one of maturity and reflection, which I can definitely respect, and he is older now and at a different place in his life, but personally, I just wanted some of these instrumentals to have more of an edge. That is just my take though. Some of you may prefer Mega on this style of production. I don't think it was bad, but I think I definitely have to be in a certain mindset to want to hear this. Even though the project was very cohesive, both from a sonic and thematic point of view, the instrumental selection was just so similar that at times it made me feel like I was listening to maybe two long-ass songs. But I am definitely eagerly awaiting the release of the Realness 2. Hopefully that project drops much sooner than later. But yeah, overall, this is a solid EP that should hold fans over until the Realness 2. My favorite tracks include Genuine Article, Empty Promises, and Fast Livin'. Let me know what you thought of this EP in the comment section below. Was this project dope? Was it a nope? What would you like me to check out next? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but please hit the like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Cormega, Mega, one.